it's a unique time in which you learn to really lean on God in everything. And like God he should be your closest companion, but really in the seminary, you're formed into that role that God is your closest companion.
Well, hello, everyone. This is Sister Elizabeth, and I'm speaking to you from the podcast of the Daughters of Charity in the company of Charity, and I am here with my good friend, Sister Liz Schoberg. How are you doing, Sister Liz?
I am fabulous. Good to see you
great.
as always.
It's good to see you as well. So we are in our second episode of the third season. Still amazes me every day, that
Season 3.
Yeah, I'm very excited. It's going to be a really good season, and I'm really glad we started off with really good episode about music and spirituality, and it was just really cool. So go back and listen to that one if you haven't. And we're moving on today to the Daughters of Charity, early days,
The beginnings.
The beginnings, right? The days of first fervor, right? The days when we come in as young women, right? Sometimes, in some cases we're a little bit older, but we're going to be hearing today from the youngest members, or the newest members, maybe the youngest and the newest members, actually.
I believe both.
Of the province of St. Louis and the province of St. Elizabeth and Seton, in the combined seminary, which we know we've talked about, which is what the Daughters of Charity called their period time of novitiate, right? And so this time when we are kind of set apart to do some charism work, to learn about spirituality, to really let God speak to our hearts about why he's called us, to trust that he has called us, and to see where God's bringing us. So I think that's a really good thing, but it kind of ties in with some things that are happening with you, right? I mean, last time we talked about Sister Phyllis moving from your house to my house, and she's doing really well. We've been having a great time introducing her to some of our families that have come in, mostly from the Congo. So that's been exciting for her. And but you've got some exciting things going on at your house too. So why don't you update us on what's happening in the valley down in Brownsville, Harlingen area?
The Rio Grande Valley of Texas, the southernmost tip of Texas, we are. And we have a new pre-postulant who is in our house. Her name's Alex, and she's a wonderful human being. We're happy to have her. And we'll be having a new sister come, Sister Jean Maher, coming to our house just next week. So maybe by the time you're listening, she'll already be in southern Texas. But we're excited. We'll be a house of 4, thank God, and we're going to have a great time of it.
That's wonderful. So Sister Jean is kind of following Sister Sharon Horace coming down from Philadelphia, right? And we always say, it's kind of cliche at some point, but Louisa's comings and goings have been both the blessing and the curse of the community. We move a lot, and then not so much, but it's great to hear that they'll be back together. That's great. So shout out to Sister Sharon and Sister Jean as they reunite down in Texas. That's great. And to Alex, it's wonderful. So she's just beginning this process as a pre-postulant. That's exciting.
Yes. And I think, for folks like herself and for other people who are thinking about consecrated life, I mean, this is a great episode for them. And we get to share our little reflections, but mostly it's the 2 new seminary sisters and Sister Kate, who was recently sent on mission. So I think people are really going to enjoy this episode, learning about how people are saying yes, even during this time of COVID, which is pretty remarkable to say yes in the first place. But now even during this crazy time of pandemic, people are still making life decisions, and God bless them for it. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is. And I'm reminded, I believe, and I probably should have done my homework on this one, but I didn't, that Sister Bella now was a pre-postulant or a postulant when she did, I think it's the second episode of the first season, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, so go way back to the beginnings, and don't laugh at how how new we were at this.
Yes.
But Yeah, but Sister Bella had a great interview then. She was working with L'arche, if I
Large
remember
community.
right. Yeah,
Mhm.
it was a great reflection on her ministry there, and she did her postulancy in Macon, Georgia, where I had lived for a while. So it was like that she was there, and
So
now
many
she's
connections.
in the seminary, and Sister Carissa as well. So please keep them in your prayers as they continue on this great journey of vocation and consecrated life. And we just ask God to bless them, bless their vocations, and we thank Him for the gift that they are to the community and to the poor, for sure. And for
Exactly.
Sister Kate as well, as she starts being a daughter of charity on mission,
It's pretty
teaching.
awesome.
Yeah, teaching in this time of pandemic. That's
Mhm.
pretty much of a challenge. So shout out to her as well and the good work that she's doing. And just ask the Lord of the harvest to continue to bring women to the community and to bless these two or three really newest members of the company.
Yep. And before we jump into the interview, we do have a Company of Charity podcast Instagram. So
Of course we do.
everybody needs to hop on Instagram, come find us, Company of Charity podcast, and tell us what you think. Send us your ideas and information, and we're just going to be putting out some content about some of the interviews that we're doing, and just good things for Catholics to know.
Yeah.
So look
right.
out for that stuff.
There you go. Enjoy.
All right. Just so you know, a little time context, we are days away from the incorporation of two new sisters who are here with us, Bella and Carissa. Glad to have you ladies. Thank you for making the time.
It's so wonderful
be
to have
here.
you on this. It's
Yeah.
great.
And we also have another sister, Sister Kate, who is with us, who was recently sent on mission. And tell us a little bit about your new mission, Sister Kate.
Well, I am on mission in Macon, Georgia, which is about an hour and a half south of Atlanta. And I am teaching kindergarten in one of our schools in light of COVID. So it's definitely a very unique situation, being sent on mission during this time and then also teaching in this very different new reality.
And how long have you been on mission? When did you leave the seminary?
I left the seminary the 3rd of May.
Wow.
So I've been on mission a couple months, and I will have been a daughter of charity for 2 years on September 1st. So when we record this, it's a couple weeks away.
Yay.
I remember in the seminary, we used to celebrate every single month how many months a daughter of charity you were.
Did
Yeah,
you really?
We started off by
I don't
counting.
think we did that.
Sister Elizabeth, how many years vocation are you?
I am 24 years vocation.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, 24 years vocation. And I have to say, just quickly, that the incorporation, when we talk about our 2 years or this many years of that, this is the date we enter, that both Carissa and Bella are moving toward. You become a daughter of charity on that day. And that's a really, really exciting thing. So I remember the first time somebody called me sister, first time I appeared in public. I think it was to the shrine in Washington in habit. It was kind of a very odd experience, for the first time. But yeah, so this is a really amazing day that's going to happen for the both of you, but also for the community. I mean, this is it's just a really, really special day for everyone. So I'm glad we're getting to do this before you go, because once you're incorporated, we won't really have much to do with you for the next 18 months. And we'll get into a little bit of that. But
The seminary is a special time.
It's a very, very special time. And you don't need any of us. You just need you, God, and your formators. So, yeah.
But just get ready for complete strangers to stop you on the street and ask for prayers and tell you their life story and introduce you to their family members, or tell you about the nun that they had in school who, you know, was mean to them or extremely kind to them. You're going to get all of that stuff.
My favorite question is, are you a real nun? And it's like, who would fake this? Like, who would pretend? You know, in this day and age, right? And like, I mean, who would pretend? Yeah, I made this outfit and I wear it just to fake it. So yeah, you don't want to fake it.
It's not necessarily flattering. I don't think that would make just for fun.
Just for fun, yeah. So yes, you're a real sister. Pretty soon.
Yes, and so tell us, Bella and Carissa, how are you doing? It's COVID, things are kind of crazy. Tell the kids at home a little bit about discernment during this time of COVID.
It's a really unique time that I think brings a lot of joys and pains along with it. It's been a wonderful time of getting to really examine our own vocations more personally, because we've had the time with God to do it. And to really focus our life on God, because we haven't had the distractions of the outside world so much. But with that comes its challenges of feeling a bit more disconnected to family, a little bit more disconnected to the lives we're kind of leaving behind. So that comes with its challenges. But overall, I think I'm looking forward to the next step, and I'm excited about it. Although some days I wake up and I'm like, what am I doing? How did I get here? You know? But yeah. It's a unique time, I think, is the only way I can explain it right now.
Yeah, it's definitely been a unique time, but it has been a time to be able to kind of just take a step back from full-time ministry. Well, I mean, I'm still in full-time ministry, but it's like I'm not constantly, I was a teacher like Kate, I was a kindergarten teacher, and so I was able to have more time at home and in prayer and just really think about what's coming next and kind of gain that peace of, this is where I'm going, this is where God is leading me to. So yeah, I mean, the home visit has definitely been a challenge this year because it's definitely different, not being able to be around people as much as I would like to, like see all my friends and everything. But again, it's given me more time with my mom alone and like to prepare to leave again and not be able to see her for a while, which it's been hard, but overall it's given me peace.
Just for a little context, Carissa, you're from close to St. Louis, where the seminary is. And so what's that like for you, you know, in your spirit of my mom's an hour away and here I am maybe not being able to see her as much?
So yeah, that's definitely a challenge for me because I have all my friends, my family, like everyone's here near St. Louis in the area. And I have friends like getting married this year and stuff, and knowing that they're going to be so close and I'm not going to be able to be there for them. But in a way I can be just by offering my prayers for them and this new step for all of them. And my mom being so close is hard because it's growing up, it was just my mom and I at home. And so it's been a challenge for her to accept that I'm going to be this close, but she's not going to be able to see me. There will be times eventually, but yeah.
It's a change. And I think, you know, all of us have that reality, whether you're physically distant, like for example, my family's in Virginia and I live in the southernmost part of Texas. I don't even know how many hours. It would be days of driving and a couple plane flights for me to even get back to where my family is. And so, you know, it comes with these different challenges of having the physical distance sometimes, but then also having that maybe emotional distance based on the choices that you've made and the call that God has for you, has for us. I know, Bella, you were in St. Louis for a significant amount of time and have many contacts there as well.
Yeah, I was in St. Louis for a year of service before beginning formation and then for my pre-postulancy. So it is interesting to go back to the same city, but going to be taking on a different role. And I haven't honestly told many people that I'm moving back because I think it's hard to articulate to a lot of people that I'll be back in the city, but I won't be available to hang out. I won't be available to meet up, stuff like that. So I've kind of put it more on the down low for right now. I don't think I'll have to take it out of the down low because I don't think I'll have the opportunity much in the seminary too. But yeah, it's interesting to go back to St. Louis, and I look forward to it. I like the city a lot, but it will be very different than it has been in the past.
Yeah, I was wondering, Kate, do you have any advice for them while they're trying to move on? I guess, I'm thinking, Sister Liz and I, we've been a little distant from this, and I was older, so I didn't have quite the same family ties and connections in the same way. So I have to say, I'm always very, I just admire younger women who are entering at a time when, it's not always the easiest thing. And then to enter during a time of COVID where unknowingly you were disconnected from your families anyways, because you were in your postulant situations and you weren't near them to begin with, but then to be cut off from them only to know you'd be somewhat cut off again. So I'm wondering, Kate, do you have any advice for them on how to just deal with those emotions when they happen?
I think especially in this time of COVID, it's even a more completely different experience, and it might make the transition easier for y'all because you're not interacting with the world in the same way. And I feel like the transition in and out of seminary is unique to begin with, and then you add the extra layer of COVID, and it creates just a whole new world beyond the new of seminary life.
What has been your guys' experience of people's reactions, maybe, or friends, family? For Bella and Carissa, when you're making a life decision in this way, especially one that's so unique as becoming a sister, people often are like, well, what the heck? Why would anyone want to do that to begin with? And are there people who are saying, in addition, well, are you sure you want to do it now? I mean, it's kind of a strange time in history to be saying, okay, I think of, the people who decide I'm going to get married, or we had this wedding planned, but we're going to do it anyway because we want to start our lives. And maybe there can be only a handful of people at their wedding, or they get married and then they know that they're going to have a party a year from now that everybody can come to. What are your thoughts on that?
So from the beginning, like since I first started thinking about this and becoming more serious, specifically with the daughters, I've had family that's been just so very supportive of me and everything that I'm doing. I mean, in the beginning, like when I first started thinking of religious life in general, my mom wasn't too thrilled about the idea. Since I am her only daughter and the only one at home with her, she was very upset with it at first. And same with my dad, he was the same way. But now they've both have found peace with it, and they both are very supportive of me and very proud of me for doing what I think I'm called to do. And even like now that I've taken these steps, and when I was a postulant this year, I've had friends that I worked with were like, you're so young, saying like, why are you, like you said, Sister Liz, why are you sure you want to do this now? But overall, they've been very supportive during this time and have been there for me no matter what. So
Yeah, I can relate in the support. I've had a few, so at your incorporation mass, typically your immediate family is able to be there in person to support, but due to everything with COVID, that's not possible this year. And my immediate family has been supportive through all of that, upset that they aren't able to be there physically, but I think they're looking forward to just getting to be there in a spiritual sense as well. But I've had aunts and uncles and friends be like, well, can't you push it off another year? Like, can't you just do another year of postulancy? And they're tough questions to answer, because I think it's hard to articulate that that's not what I want to do. That with or without family there, I want this to move forward and continue. But going off of what Sister Kate was saying earlier, with sometimes you have to fuss at God, I've been praying with that, because Kate and we lived together for a few months in Macon, and she had told me about that. And when I was thinking about it, like, I feel like I've already hit that point where I'm fussing a little bit. Like, this has been hard, and this is an uncertain time. So to enter into a level of formation that's so uncertain, and you don't really have any concrete answers going into the seminary as to what it'll be like, it is challenging, and also frustrating that right now, I think this is like when the Daughters of Charity are stepping up the most. You know, like, we're out there, we're on the front lines, we're keeping our services open, we're doing what we can for those we're serving alongside. And it's really frustrating to have been in that and been able to be on the front lines throughout the whole pandemic, and now having to take a step back. And it's got me in like the headspace of like, why now, God? Like, how come now, when we need people serving, you're asking us to take a step back? And there's a good chance, and I pray that when we're out of the seminary, that God willing, the pandemic's over, but it's just a frustrating time to now continue on, but in a very different way, in which I'm not like physically the hands and feet that I want to be. So I feel like I've already begun to fuss at God a little bit over that. But I pray that he'll fulfill my heart's desires in ways that I don't see yet. Because right now what I want to do is serve. And I've been on my home visit for the last couple of weeks and have a great time, but I already miss my ministry. And I'm like, oh, I just want to be back. You know, and I like find them like checking the emails. I'm like, can someone just tell me what's going on? You know? And that's hard. But I trust God in all of this. He'll take care.
I was just going to say, I think you make a really good point, because, and I can only speak for myself, maybe Sister Elizabeth has had the same feeling in the seminary, and Sister Kate too, you could respond of, yeah, you're doing a ministry experience once a week. Yeah. And knowing as a Daughter of Charity that our mission is to serve the poor, our mission is to be out there being Christ and seeing Christ. You know, it's a struggle on a regular day to not be involved in a full-time ministry.
Yeah, I'm already feeling that pain. It's only been a couple of weeks, and I'm like, oh God, I miss the poor. Yeah.
And people,
I think that sometimes in the seminary, you know, as you go through, and you can't maybe understand it now. I think Bella, you were saying like, I don't know what's coming. You know, no one can really tell you what your seminary is going to be like, because it's very individual. Every single sister will have a different one. But one strength is in community, is, you know, every sister has done it. You're not the only ones. It doesn't look the same, and you'll hear all kinds of wonderful stories and war stories, you know, from older sisters like myself. Will say, well, we didn't get to do that when we were in the seminary, you know, those kind of things. But we all experience that same sense of being kind of pulled away from the exact thing we felt like we were coming to do. And then my hope for you both is that, you know, as you go through these months, that the separation won't feel like, you know, that you're away from a ministry, but rather that you're beginning to develop the skills and the connectedness to the community that you'll need when the ministry gets tough later. That everything you're going to learn in these few months will be the strength of who you are as a Daughter of Charity. Because when you come out of the seminary, you now serve as a daughter, you know, and that's you're going to feel it. I don't know how you do, I don't know why we do, but it is a different feeling. And so, yeah, I think coming in and being a little like, I'm not really sure, feeling unformed, because that's exactly where you should be. It's exactly where you should be. And all those things you're hoping for will be there on the other end, you know. So I think that's really a good reflection that that's a hard piece. And I think any hardcore Daughter of Charity is going to say, okay, that's good to hear. You know, it's good to hear that.
That gives me hope.
Gives me hope. Yeah, it gives me hope.
Since I've been in the community almost 2 years, a lot of my friends who've also been in their communities about 2 years are taking their first vows. And I've gotten to do a couple of Zoom-ins on first vow experiences with some of my friends who are on this journey in a different community. And I think that's kind of one of the gifts that the pandemic has brought. It's icky and it's uncomfortable and it's hard not to say goodbye. but the incorporation of technology has been great, and it is such a gift to see these other women who I've journeyed with for 2 years and would have not been able to go to their vows and get to participate. Has been a really unique experience. And talking with sisters on the phone more, I mean, I'm not a phone person, I'm sure, but I'm not one usually to make calls or to write letters, and being in that sort of self-isolation that the pandemic brought sort of pulled that out of me more.
Well, it does remind me too, we'll bring in a little St. Vincent de Paul, our father in charism, and Vincent said we need to be inventive into infinity, right? That it's not always going to be the way we want it to be, even once you come out on mission, when you finish the seminary or while you're in the seminary, you'll see that the ministries you have are not always going to be perfect either, but that again, this is going to be a time for you to really begin to see why God called you to this, and that Vincent tells us it's because God needs inventive, creative, and courageous women to bring about this charism and to be of service to the poor. So if we have to step away for a little while to learn how to do that in a way that meets the expectations and the spirit of the charism, then it's time well spent, I think. So what I just want to know, I mean, we're talking about all it's so hard, what do you feel like, or what have you heard from sisters, and this might be a deadly question, about the joys of the seminary? Like, has anyone said to you, oh, this was my best part of the seminary?
Yeah, the seminary is hard, and ending in the midst of a pandemic added a whole new level of challenge, but I didn't go through it alone, and that's the best part of seminary. Mm-hmm. I had 2 other sisters who were in my band or my group that came in the same day I did, and then we also had another sister who came in the year after us with us, and it was great to go through it together. When we were all writing our letters to be asked to be sent on mission, and that is always something to pray with and discern with, and also doing it in the midst of the pandemic, and finding out that our families and the sisters that we love and that have been supporting us through this journey couldn't be on our sending on mission, and having the support of each other through the good times and the bad, being able to laugh together is just phenomenal. And I actually last night was talking to one of them on FaceTime, and the companionship that comes with going through the joys and the sorrows and the growth together. Our lifelong sister friends.
I think I've heard from a number of the sisters that the seminary is a wonderful time to explore the meaning of simple joy, because you don't have a lot of things that would typically bring you joy and that you can go out and do, but you figure out things within your house, within your local community, to discover that joy. And then I was also, one of the sisters had mentioned that it's a unique time in which you learn to really lean on God in everything. And like God he should be your closest companion, but really in the seminary, you're formed into that role that God is your closest companion. And I spent a summer in Kenya, and we had peers with our local, Vincentian Mission Corps community, but the girls I were with were all older, and I was in college, they were married. Like, we just weren't connecting well, and you have no access really to your family back in the States. And I can remember like really having to lean deeply into God and feeling him as my closest companion, and trying to figure out how to be inventive and finding ways to fulfill that desire that I need for God as my closest companion in this more distracted world that we live in. So I look forward to trying to rediscover that in myself a bit, and rerouting myself and God as my number one in everything.
I think for me, I've heard from sisters that I lived with this past year about how much they loved their seminary experience. I think for me, I'm looking forward to taking that step back, even though it's hard not being in full-time ministry. I am looking forward to the time just to like grow and learn about more about myself and about the community, but also to live with, like Sister Kate said, with our peers, and the women that we're going to live with, even the sisters that are going to companion us. I was talking to someone the other night about it, and she's saying like how much diversity there's going to be, like the culture that the sisters have experienced that we're going to be living with, just to learn about their experiences, because we're going to be living with some sisters who were out on a missionary, and so just learning about their experiences I think will be great for us too, especially if we don't get to go out as much right now during this pandemic, just to be able to grow and as a community in general.
I think the decision that you're making is, I think we've all felt it, the sisters who are, who've been in and remember what it's like to feel that, that call, and that, I've always said when I found out what the community was about and what we do and our spirit, I couldn't imagine doing something else, or that something else would be more important than this. And, I think it's a grace for each one of us to see the two of you coming in and saying yes, and Sister Kate saying yes, because it helps us to remember why we came too. And I think, it's easy to say we're grateful for you, but the truth behind it is that it helps us too. Mm-hmm. It helps us to live more authentically and to remember the first call that we've had. And so I thank you for that, because you are a gift to the community. And I hope, for me, the seminary, it's high highs and low lows. It's life, but it's life in the extreme. And those moments are really, really important in your life. And so during those high highs, to be grateful and to be thankful to God, and during the low lows, to remember the rest of us who are out there thinking of you and praying for you, and with you in spirit, because there's so much grace to be had in the seminary that it would be a shame not to take advantage of it. Mm-hmm. Thoughts, recommendations to people out there who are, thinking about their life, and maybe making a change, whether that's a job or, what university they go to, or what person they decide is going to be their life partner. Like what advice would you guys give to them?
Something that I learned to appreciate a lot more in the seminary is just time of silence and silent contemplation. I think that's one of the great gifts of seminary, is you're forced into it. And I have always been a very active kind of doer person, and having more time than I thought I would want for silence ended up being such a great gift, and helped through, as you said, those high highs and those low lows, to appreciate them, to see the growth in myself, to take time to fuss at God, but also rejoice with God. And I think anyone making big life decisions, take time for silence. And if the idea of silence just feels overwhelming, or you have trouble with your brain turning off, then walk in silence, or have something to play with your hands and sit in silence, because it's such a gift to be able to have that time. And I think being sent on mission, for me, something I'm working on is, okay, so I liked that silent time, and how do I make sure that I continue to have the time that has helped me grow so much and grow closer to God?
I think my advice would be just everything passes but God. That's pretty much been like my first words every morning when I wake up, and my last words before I go to bed. Just everything passes but God. So transition's hard. In the midst of a pandemic, I think it could be a bit more challenging. Decision making's hard, and in the midst of a pandemic, I think there's more challenges. And just reminding myself, like, all of this passes, and the one constant thing I can rely on is God. So just allowing myself to find peace in that truth.
I think for me, I would say don't be afraid to lean on God, especially during this time. You're not doing this just for your families, for everyone else. You're doing this for you and for God. He's going to be your constant through everything and always going to be there for you to lean on.
Thank you for sharing your experiences with us and with the listeners, because yeah, it's not all roses and butterflies, but there's that peace and that fulfillment and that knowledge that God is with you, and God will never leave us or forsake us. And I think we've spoken to that today, and just knowing that we're in this together. So God bless you guys, and thank you for all of it.